Guys, it's Jerningam here. I thought I'd share this video about Welsh wants their own independence as well, like Scotland, so I'm going to play the video.
What do we want? We want it. We can, and we will get independent. Carnarvon, North Wales.
This is on Channel 4 as well, guys.
Thousands descend on this small castle town to march for Welsh independence. Our nation has faced hardships in the past. Our past has not been filled with joyful events. Our nation's throat choked by Westminster's claws. And this is Cian Ciaran, better known as the keyboard player from the Super Furry Animals. But this weekend, just another Welsh nationalist marching for his dream. For Cian, the March for Independence has grown from a sense of being left behind.
I think probably Wales has been manufactured to be a desperate workforce. Lack of investment is an afterthought. Constant contempt and systematic neglect by successive Westminster governments.
Earlier this month, Theresa May's cabinet was warned that in all corners of the United Kingdom, people are becoming increasingly indifferent to the Union. Even in Wales, a place where demands for independence had tended to be muted, government ministers were told that the mood appears to be shifting, that Wales could be indie curious.
In a few years' time, we can see a situation of Scotland votes independence, Ireland reunites, and if we're not ready, if we're not prepared, if we're not forward, we are not going to be ready. We're going to be found out with the trousers on the ankles and we're being totally embarrassing.
The polling for Welsh nationalism tends to hover between 10 and 20%. There's much more support for remaining in the UK, but giving greater power to the Welsh Assembly. But big political reactions can come from seemingly small things, such as the vandalising of a famous mural to Tryweryn, the valley flooded half a century ago to build a reservoir supplying England. Since then, copycat murals have been painted around Wales. The duplicates, reading "Remember Tryweryn," are for nationalists a symbol of culture and national pride. Elfed Wyn Jones repainted the original mural after it was vandalised.
I was in the north and my friend gave me a message. He said that the wall had been desecrated. We went straight to the wall. Less than 24 hours after it was desecrated, we painted red. We did not think that the response would be so powerful. I think the thing that really sparked people was that we answered the call to repaint it like that, and that really hit a nerve in Welsh politics. It was amazing.
Away from the streets, independence campaigners claim interest is sharpening online too.
We run a page called Fiery Welsh Memes for Feisty Independent Dreams. Our page, when I joined a year ago, had about 2,000 likes, and within a year we've got about 6,200. It just kind of raises awareness, so it means that if the coverage around the world does get defaced again, people actually know what it is and why it exists and why it's important for Welsh history.
I think because I'm first language Welsh speaker, I'm very proud of that, so I think independence would really help preserve the language a lot more.
If you look at Boris Johnson 2 weeks ago saying that English is the only language in the UK, and I think we have nearly 600,000 speakers.
Just to hear stuff like that being said, it's really, as a Welsh speaker, it really sort of breaks your heart.
There's this big joke that Boris Johnson becoming Prime Minister is the best gift that Welsh independence is going to get. The easiest way to break it down is, should Wales run its own country or should it be run by the country next door? And that's what it comes down to for me.
As Brexit takes its course across the United Kingdom, Welsh nationalists are looking to Scotland and Northern Ireland and wondering if their time is coming. Well, Adam Price is the leader of Plaid Cymru and joins me now from Cardiff. I mean, the people in that film were all very optimistic, but I mean, the truth is, you're not really bouncing anywhere in the polls, are you? You're about 15%, fifth in the list, behind the Lib Dems, behind the Brexit Party. Wales just is more realistic than that, isn't it?
Well, in the opinion polls that were published yesterday, we actually led the polls for the Welsh Parliament, the building behind me, for the first time in our history. That's incredibly historic. 94 years ago, we were founded in order to create a self-governing Wales. And at this point, at this moment, something is happening. Yes, it is true. I mean, there's the Welsh body politic, if you like, Christian, has been dormant, quiescent for so many years, but there's definitely something stirring. It has deep historical roots, the sense of neglect, economic, social, cultural, that you heard about in the program. But it's been given a particularly potent urgency at this time. And people are looking at that sort of daily tragicomedy that is Westminster politics that was visited upon us in Wales today. And a lot of people are coming to the conclusion, there has to be a better way. And the better way is our way. Like any other nation in the world, no country ever ruled another well. None of those countries that won their independence from the British Empire are queuing up to give away their independence and rejoin, are they? Because they've learned the simple truth. You're better off as a nation when you take your future into your own hands, and that's what lots of people here in Wales are deciding to do.
The economics just don't
Even the
make
dogs
sense,
are
though,
coming
do they?
out for independence, Christian.
I'm sorry, there's quite a delay on this line, so I'm not meaning to interrupt you, but I mean, the economics don't add up, though, do they? I mean, the gap between what Wales raises in tax and what it spends is just too big. And the people of Wales know that. They know that you can't afford a 20% deficit every year.
Well, let's invert that familiar logic, Joe. Yes, it is true that Wales is poor at the moment relatively to the rest of the UK, and as a result of that, we don't raise all the revenue that we need to create the kind of decent society that we want. But why are we poor? Because we have been misruled by generations of successive governments, both Labour and Conservative. The only solution to our poverty is our independence. That's the only way we actually can close that revenue gap ultimately, sustainably, is if we take that power into our own hands.
But it's also not practical, is this? I mean, if you think the Northern Ireland border is complicated, the Welsh border with England, trying to sort of police that would be totally ridiculous, especially if the rest of the United Kingdom was in a no-deal situation.
Well, this is not about putting up borders. I mean, we're fighting very hard to sustain freedom of movement by retaining Wales and the rest of the UK and the European Union.
Well, how would it work?
Ours is not a kind of a nationalism which is, well, we want to be part of the European Union. We want to win that argument. We want to defeat Boris Johnson now, not just in the future, in the independence referendum. We want to actually sustain Wales's presence and the presence of the rest of the UK and the European Union. That's not just good for Wales; it's good for people in England too. We're not inward-looking nationalists.
But what would you do on the border?
Inward-looking, backward-looking nationalists, they're in 10 Downing Street. We are Welsh internationalists. We want to be part of the world. We want to be good partners with England too, and we can do that best by remaking the relationships in these islands as equals, rather than this top-heavy centralist British state that we have at the moment that takes all the power, economic, political, financial, and cultural, and puts them in one corner. Independence is the best gift, the best contribution that we can make, not just to social justice here in Wales, but actually to social justice in many parts of England that have been neglected too.
Very interesting, guys. They want their own independence in Wales. So, yeah. I had my t-shirt on the back of the chair, so I threw it on the bed. It was in the way. You want to see what else is on the TV? So, very squeaky chair. So, let's have a look here. Just trying to think what else I can put on. 9 hours ago. This is Boris Johnson 9 hours ago. If you guys have not seen it, make sure you probably have.
Good morning. How are you doing? How are you? Nice to see you. Good morning. Well, it's great to be here in Northern Ireland, and clearly the people of Northern Ireland have been without a government, without Stormont for 2 years and 6 months. So my prime focus this morning is to do everything I can to help that get up and running again, because I think that's profoundly in the interest of people here all the citizens here in Northern Ireland, and I'll be helping the parties in any way I can to get that going and over the line. I expect Brexit may come up a little bit. I don't rule that out, and I think the crucial thing to stress is that I obviously attach huge importance to the letter, spirit of the Belfast Good Friday Agreement, and will be insisting on that. Other than that, it's just fantastic to be here. Thank you very much.
How partial can you be, Prime Minister, given that you've already died?
It's all there in the Good Friday Agreement. We believe in complete impartiality, and that's what we're going to observe. But the crucial thing is to get this Stormont government up and running again. Thank you. Thank you.
Interesting. Trying to find the.
Prime Minister again reiterated the fact that he would never be neutral on the Union. We welcome that. He will, of course, be neutral on the administration of government here in Northern Ireland, but you shouldn't confuse the two. And today I've heard those two matters confused quite regularly. He'll never be neutral on the Union, and talk of a border poll, he told us, was not something that he was entertaining. So we look forward to working with the Prime Minister in strengthening the Union. We look forward to working with the new Secretary of State in trying to find the restoration of devolution. And of course, we look forward to working with him on delivering the votes of the British people in June of 2016 in delivering Brexit.
Can I just add that clearly we've had a number of discussions with Boris Johnson before he became Prime Minister. And this week here in Northern Ireland, we certainly welcome him here and taking an early opportunity to engage with all of the parties in Northern Ireland. And also Julian Smith, as Secretary of State, we believe he will bring a focus on detail and will certainly help in the negotiations that lie ahead. In terms of what we have heard, as Arlene has said, about the confidence supply arrangement, I hope that media and journalists will also question Sinn Féin then about whether they continue with their policy of wanting to be part of the next administration in Dublin, because if they criticise so heavily the democratic role, the role given to us by the people of Northern Ireland by electing 10 members of Parliament, if they criticise that so strongly as being contrary to the Good Friday Agreement, then clearly they will not want to have anything to do with a future Dublin government, which they describe as the co-guarantors of the agreement, or perhaps they are being somewhat selective in their approach to this particular issue. The confidence supply agreement is a matter for discussion on another day with the Prime Minister, and those discussions will continue in the coming weeks. But they are about delivery for all of the people of Northern Ireland on infrastructure, health, education, mental health, deprived areas, guaranteeing support for our farmers, securing the winter fuel allowance, non-means tested for all citizens of the United Kingdom who are senior citizens, and also on NATO defence spending and security for our country. These are all vital issues which we do not believe that Jeremy Corbyn would be able to deliver on in the same way as a Conservative and Unionist government in the current circumstances. So we will continue those discussions in the coming days, confident that we can get a good outcome for the whole of the United Kingdom and for Northern Ireland.
Interesting. Very interesting indeed. Just trying to think of what else I can actually show in this video. Yeah, I'm just thinking things, mate. What to show. Is it? Just looking at my receipt I've got today from the shop, guys. I go to the co-op in real life as well. So I have to keep an eye on the money, what you spend, and everybody does, don't they? Yeah, I mean, everyone has to keep an eye on the spending when they go out. What else can I show now? Sorry it took so long then.
We have met with Boris Johnson. We've had a fairly extensive conversation with him in which we have raised the issue of Brexit, his course of action, which seems to us to indicate that he has set the compass for a disorderly and a crash Brexit. We've challenged him very strongly on that policy. We've set out very clearly that this would be catastrophic for the Irish economy, for Irish livelihoods, for our society, for our politics, and for our peace accord. We've made it clear to him that the extensive planning that he tells us he is carrying out in respect of a potential crash Brexit has to include the constitutional question and the issue of a border poll here in Ireland. We've stated to him very clearly that Brexit in any event, but certainly a disorderly Brexit, represents, in anybody's language, a dramatic change of circumstances on this island, and that it would be unthinkable in those circumstances that people would not be given the opportunity to decide on our future together. That's a conversation that we will continue with the Prime Minister. We've also raised the issue of talks, the re-establishment of power-sharing government, sustainable government. We have rehearsed again with him the outstanding issues which we'll recall are about rights, citizens' fundamental rights, and you can see the rights represented here with protesters that have gathered this morning.
Well, interesting. There's a lot going on in the world, guys. A lot of things going on. Just very in deep thought at the moment. A lot of people get in deep thought, I think. British Airways. Something about British Airways on the TV. Who bloody knows? I don't know if I'm going to be putting anything else into this video. I think I've done this video long enough. We will be streaming later, so don't worry about that, guys. I'm just flicking through the YouTube channels, seeing what else I can find, but I think I covered it into this video. Hope you've all enjoyed this video. It's about talking about independence of Northern Ireland and, well, Wales. They want their own independence like Scotland eventually, if it ever happens. Thank you for joining the stream, and catch you next one. Please like, comment, subscribe, and then share these videos with your friends. See you later, guys. Peace.